Hello everybody, it's Foo here, and I am so excited to bring you my next Crown Tundra team because I think I have found my favorite legendary ever. I love this Pokemon. It is Galarian Moltres, and I think it is being slept on so hard because people are looking at its siblings, Galarian Articuno and Galarian Zapdos, particularly Zapdos, way more than Moltres, and I think it's such a shame. I guess they just look at the stats and see the high offensive stats of the other two, and so don't try Moltres, but Moltres is so good, and I want to prove that to you in this video because I made a team. I paired it up with Regidrago as well because, like, aesthetics, they look so good together, but also because they do benefit from some of the same mechanics, so I'll go into that in a minute with some of the battles. Definitely the best way to show it to you is just to go straight into a battle. But before we do that, if you like my kind of content, please leave a like and subscribe if you want your fiery wraths to flinch more opponents. So let's get straight into the first battle, and my opponent is going to lead with a Dragapult and an Urshifu. Now, I wasn't exactly sure how this lead was going to work. I lead with my Raichu and my Moltres, and what I want to do on the first turn is fake out into that Urshifu to break any potential sashes, prevent it from moving, and this gives my Moltres free reign to go straight for a Nasty Plot because this Pokemon gets Nasty Plot. It doesn't have the highest special attack to begin with, but it's usable at base 100, and Nasty Plot boosts that to much higher levels. The Dragapult seems to be a support set though because it has the light screen. Now, I go for a Dynamax quite early in this match. I was slightly worried that I was pulling the trigger too early because, you know, they've got all their Pokemon left and they've just set up a light screen, so maybe not the best idea. But what I was hoping to do was go for a Nuzzle with my Raichu to slow down the Urshifu because I should outspeed it, and then Moltres will also outspeed it and go for an max Airstream, which would have been fantastic had the opposing Urshifu not been Choice Scarf, which kind of scuppered my plan. That means that Raichu's taken down to its Focus Sash, and then Dragapult can outspeed it and take it out without it doing anything, which really sucks because they do have an electric type on their team, and Lightning Rod protects Moltres from electric type attacks. So that sucks. But I do get my Airstream off, meaning that Moltres is now at +1 speed and +2 special attack. So that's pretty good. Still at max HP as well, and my Moltres is super bulky. I've got enough speed to outspeed Dragapult at +1 speed, so I should be outspeeding that next turn. And then the rest is basically HP and defense, so we can take as much damage as possible. And so yeah, we're pretty bulky, but you do see they have the Magnezone. That's what I was scared of, and I've just lost my Lightning Rod Pokemon. That really sucks. So what I'm going to try to do this turn, as I said, I should outspeed Dragapult because I EV'd it in a way to outspeed Dragapult at +1. I want to max Darkness Dragapult, drop Magnezone's special defense, and hopefully get a big hit off with Cinderace too. Unfortunately, the Magnezone goes for max guard, so I'm not going to be hitting into that this turn. And Dragapult actually outsped my Moltres, and that's when I realized this was early days when I first built the team. My Moltres was still relaxed nature from when I caught it. I hadn't given it a Timid Mint yet, so that sucked a little bit. They got a Reflect up that they shouldn't have been able to get up. It does mean that my Moltres is slightly more physically bulky than it should be, but that's not really what I'm going for with this set, so that sucks just a little bit. We do drop the Magnezone special defense, which is very handy. Hopefully we'll be able to do more damage to that next turn, and we've got one more turn of Dynamax. What I'm seeing with the opponent right now, I think they're going to fake out into Cinderace and then go for an electric type attack into Moltres. So what I want to do is, while I've still got Dynamax turn, I want to go for a max Airstream into that Rillaboom to take it out, give my Cinderace a speed boost, and then go from there basically, and hope that Magnezone doesn't just do terrifically horrifying damage to my team. So we're gonna see. They've still got more max turns than I do, so this could be a pretty tense endgame. They're going to go for the max lightning, and here it comes. But it doesn't do very much damage at all to Moltres because it's got that base 125 special defense stat. It is insane. So this Pokemon is so bulky, especially on the specially defensive side. That means that I can activate my weakness policy, get another +2 special attack, and its Berserk ability means when it drops below half health, it gets another special attack boost. So that's 5 special attack boosts this battle. And now I'm a lot less scared of that Magnezone because I still have my Cinderace. Pyro Ball does less than half because of the Reflect, so that wouldn't have even taken out a normal Magnezone, let alone a Dynamax one. But in comes Fiery Wrath. Even with the light screen, Fiery Wrath is going to take out that Magnezone because I was at +5 special attack. And that is why I love Galarian Moltres, because of its insane ability to just boost its special attack so much. It's got the bulk to allow it to survive hits, get that Berserk ability activating, allow it to get nasty plots off because it can, you know, do that even in the face of attacks. And if you give it the weakness policy, it can survive super effective hits. So it's very easy to get to +5 attack in +5 special attack in battles. I think it's actually really achievable. Also to note, it's got great coverage with Hurricane and Fiery Wrath. Fiery Wrath is its amazing signature move, which is base 90 power, hits both opponents. So that's really cool to note. And it does have a chance to flinch them as well. So hitting both opponents with a chance to flinch, we know from Rock Slide that that is a very good secondary effect to have, and it always hits, unlike Frost Slide. So that's really good. And one more thing I have to say about Moltres in comparison to the other birds is that I think it has the best secondary typing, because it allows it to go for Max Darkness, which is a really high base power max move, and it drops the opponent's special defense, meaning that your follow-up move will do more damage. The other birds really don't benefit as much as Moltres does from their max moves, because Articuno gets max Mindstorm, sets up the psychic terrain, and because it's flying, it's not touching the ground, it gets no benefits whatsoever from psychic terrain. So that really sucks for Articuno. And then for Zapdos, it gets max Knuckle, which does boost its attack stat, which is nice, but it's not very powerful. It's like base 95 power. It's only like 2/3 of the power of Max Darkness. So that's why I think Galarian Moltres really benefits from that Dynamaxing. So that's all very nice and packaged together. That's only a small portion of the team though. So I want to show you the next battle to give you a bit of an idea of some of the really cool mechanics and synergies that are in this team. My opponent had a very Trick Room looking team, and they lead off with a Porygon 2 and a Goodra, as I lead off with Celesteela and Comfey. So that's a pretty good matchup against the Goodra, and my Pokemon are kind of built to take on the Trick Room. You'll see what they can do in a second. My opponent switches out their Goodra into Aegislash, which makes a lot of sense because it has a decent matchup against both of my Pokemon, as I have the Taunt on Comfey, which really will hopefully shut down their Porygon 2 so that it doesn't do too much damage. I meant to go for a Leech Seed into Porygon 2 here, but must have misclicked and went for a Flamethrower, and that does a decent amount of damage, meaning the Porygon 2 isn't very specially bulky. It's probably either offensive. Looking at that damage, it looks like it's got some special attack investment, or it's got more defense rather than special defense, which works well in my favor because I've got mainly special attackers on this team. This turn I'm going to go for a Leech Seed into my Porygon 2 as I make a relatively risky switch into my Moltres, knowing that it will take some damage. But that's okay, because with the Berserk ability, you want your Moltres to be taking some damage. You want it to be taking precisely 50% damage so that you get your Berserk boost. So that's what I was aiming for here, and unfortunately I just missed out on going below half health. Which is a shame because I really could have appreciated that Berserk boost. Without any special attack boosts, Moltres is not doing very much damage. So I'm going to switch back into my Comfey, as the opponent also switches their Aegislash, fearing the Dark type move, which is understandable. And they bring out the Azumarill, which is very scary. I actually go for a Nasty Plot. Again, a relatively risky move in the face of two things that were doing damage to me. But I was hoping that with a Nasty Plot and a Berserk boost, I could start doing some real damage. And the opponent does give me that because they go for a Tri-Attack into my Moltres. I'm now relatively low HP, which isn't ideal, but I'm hoping that I can maybe deal with that with the Comfey next to me. And that's where this synergy comes into play. Because what I want to try to do is get Moltres' HP back above half, because you can get multiple Berserk boosts. So if I go for Floral Healing into my Moltres and get it above half HP, and it takes more damage to take it below half HP, we'll get another Berserk boost, which is really nice. And you can do this even when it's Dynamax. So when you don't have access to Nasty Plot, you've only got Max Guard, obviously, if you're Dynamax. There are still ways you can boost your special attack. So my opponents actually brought in their Aegislash again. There were two plays I could have made here. I could Floral Healing, or I could activate my own weakness policy with the Draining Kiss. So that's another reason why Comfey is such a good partner with Moltres, because you can Draining Kiss your Moltres and get the weakness policy and do even more damage. I was just slightly concerned that Moltres was too low HP for that play, especially considering that Aegislash can get some priority, so can Azumarill. So I just went for the floral healing here just to ensure I could live any Aqua Jets or anything like that. The opponent does Dynamax their Azumarill, which is very scary. Obviously I don't take it out because it's a Trick Room Pokemon, very, very bulky. It can take even a +3 max Airstream, and it's going to attack back, but it actually goes for a Max Geyser into Comfey. Now I think the reason they made this play was because they were really wanting to get that Trick Room up, and that wasn't possible while Taunt Comfey was in play. So I think that they were trying to basically take out my Trick Room counter. So here again, I'm going to go for a floral healing into my Moltres, and I'm going to go for an attack into the Azumarill as they max guard. But this is okay. I mean, they're presumably wanting to get rid of my Comfey because it's being really, really annoying at this stage. As I said, they probably want to get the Trick Room up. And I am going to attack into the Azumarill, seeing as though it is the biggest threat to my team right now. I've got one more turn of Dynamax as I bring in my Celesteela, and I need to make the most of that. So the opponent's going to switch out their Dynamax Pokemon, which I think is a reasonable play. You want to conserve your Pokemon if you can, and it was definitely going to feint to a max Airstream this turn. So they switch in their Porygon 2 to maybe take an attack and try to set up Trick Room, but Porygon 2 cannot take a +3 max Airstream from my Moltres because it looks to be more offensive, I guess. If they had put more EV investment in special defense, I think they should have been able to live that, but maybe it was more physically defensive than specially defensive. So yeah, the Porygon 2 goes down, and that switch didn't work out amazing for them. Unfortunately, their Flash Cannon again doesn't quite take me down below half HP, so I don't get another Berserk boost just yet, but hopefully that will happen sometime in the battle. So that was my last turn of Dynamax. I'm now going to run out and go back to small form, and I'm going to go for a Protect this turn because I've kind of cottoned on to what they were trying to do with that Azumarill switch out. They were trying to switch it out so that they then had access to priority. And a Shadow Sneak Aqua Jet combination in the rain, maybe it's a Choice Band Azumarill, we're not sure yet. Maybe that could have taken out my Moltres. So I think that that was a reasonably good play. If they'd taken out my Moltres, I would have been in a bit of a precarious position. But that wasn't the case. I'm able to take out their Azumarill with my Celesteela, get a Beast Boost, boosting my special defense, which is pretty nice, especially considering that Aegislash seems to be special. It's got the Flash Cannon, so yeah, it looks like Celesteela should be able to take that on relatively well. And then Goodra comes in as their last Pokemon. Now they're going to reveal the King's Shield. At this stage, I wasn't even sure if they had it, but I guess most Aegislash should have King's Shield, especially in doubles. That's fine. What I'm going to go for is Fiery Wrath here. You can see in this battle that it does target both opponents, which is so good. So it's an easy way of ensuring that Aegislash will go down and getting damage on the Goodra. And I'll go for a Heavy Slam, good damage to Goodra, and Goodra actually flinches. So you're seeing the secondary effect of Fiery Wrath there. Really disgusting, but actually it's just such a good move. Even if it didn't have that flinch effect, it would be such a good move. But with that flinch effect, it's amazing. So good. So it's looking like we're in a pretty good position here. On this turn, I actually go for a Protect with my Celesteela, just stalling a bit more, as my opponent goes for a Feint with Goodra, and that really wasn't the play. It didn't do any kind of damage, and just gave me another Berserk boost. So if there was any chance of either of the opponent's Pokemon surviving this Fiery Wrath, it's definitely gone after that final Berserk boost. So I think we ended this battle with +4 special attack, and that was not even having had our weakness policy activated. So Moltres just has so many options to boost its special attack, and I love it. So yeah, that battle was really just showing you how the Berserk ability can work in combination with Floral Healing, or any healing basically next door. You could have an Amoonguss. I think that's actually quite a good partner for Moltres, because it can resist Fairy and Electric type moves. You can Rage Powder them away from Moltres, and Moltres appreciates that help. And also it has the Pollen Puff to heal up Moltres. And also it threatens fairy types with the Sludge Bomb. So I think Amoonguss is a really good partner, but I actually prefer Comfey because you can get that Draining Kiss weakness policy activation before Moltres attacks, which is fantastic. The next battle I want to show you features a team from another PokeTuber, that's Moxie Boosted. So if you like the look of this Tapu Lele, Thievul, Zapdos team, then definitely check out Moxie Boosted's channel. I'll leave a link to their channel in the comments section below, but it's a really cool team. I'm kind of scared of it because it's got Tapu Lele, which is a very powerful fairy type that is very terrifying, but also it's got like Zapdos Kartana combo, which is horrifying. At the time of the battle, I didn't know it was Moxie's team, so I didn't know anything about it. By the way, appreciate the trainer card. It's pink because of Moltres and I love it. I think it's amazing, and yeah, just wanted to point that one out. So yeah, this team is very scary. I actually decided to lead Regidrago and Moltres because those are the features of the team and I really like using them, but that turned out to be an awful choice because they lead with Tapu Lele and Thievul, which are the staple leads to the team I now know. It's got the Psychic Surge and the Psychic Seed Thievul. I've used Thievul with Psychic Seed before, but yeah, I just wasn't sure if that was the mode that would come this time or whether it would be like the Zapdos Kartana mode. Anyway, I have to act fast, I have to reposition quite quickly. So what I'm going to do is switch in my Celesteela as I protect with my Moltres to try and avoid as much damage as possible this first turn, because Tapu Lele can just go for Dazzling Gleams and like take out my entire team. So Celesteela is here to hopefully save the day. The main issue I'm going to have is that I've got Heavy Slam on my Celesteela as the Steel type attack, and that can't affect Dynamax Pokemon. So the biggest worry this turn is if Tapu Lele Dynamaxes and I try to Heavy Slam. So I'm going to dip my toe to see if Tapu Lele wants to Dynamax by just going for a Leech Seed into that slot instead of going for my Steel type move, and see how that goes. As a Fake Tears comes out and then Dazzling Gleam, and after the Fake Tears dropping my Celesteela's special defense, that's actually doing a decent amount to both of my bulky Pokemon. So this Tapu Lele is a threat, it is no joke. Fortunately, because I did land the Leech Seed, I'm able to recover some of that health back, and we see that Tapu Lele didn't actually Dynamax because it is doing really good damage to both Pokemon even without the Dynamax, so I can kind of understand that decision, but that does allow me to then, the next turn, I'm going to try to Heavy Slam it, and you can see again, they're not Dynamaxing, so hopefully this Heavy Slam can do some serious damage because I need to get rid of this Tapu Lele before my Moltres can have a good day. Honestly, as long as the Lele doesn't Dynamax, I wasn't too scared. I think that my Moltres could take Dazzling Gleams and, you know, get the weakness policy and Berserk and all that stuff going. But fortunately, we're able to take out the Tapu Lele with a Heavy Slam. We get a special defense boost to try to mitigate some of that Fake Tears that the Thievul has been going for, and I can set up the Trick Room, which I think the opponent maybe didn't see coming. My team is not obviously a Trick Room team. Well, it's just not a Trick Room team, but I have the option there for situations like this, but also for like reversing opponent's Trick Room. Now Dragapult comes in, which is kind of fine. I'm going to try to get a Leech Seed on it, but that doesn't work this turn, as I can taunt the Thievul to prevent it from going for any more Fake Tears, because those will really compromise my bulky Pokemon's bulk, basically. So I am able to get the taunt on that. And it's just going for Snarls, just getting some chip damage, I guess, on both of my Pokemon. It's not doing very much at all to Comfey, which is good. So if Comfey is going to go down, it kind of has to go down from an attack from the Dragapult. This turn, Comfey really can't do very much aside from go for a Floral Healing. It can't go for Draining Kisses at the moment because of the Psychic Terrain preventing priority type moves. And there's not really much point taunting the Dragapult because it's probably going for some attacking moves right now. So I just went for a Floral Healing onto my Celesteela. Hopefully that will allow it to tank any hits that come from the Dragapult. And I really just want to get some Leech Seeds going on and hopefully stall out some Dynamax turns. But we see here the Dragapult actually has Max Flare, which is always a special move on Dragapult. And I'm at minus special defense. So that does a ton of damage to my Celesteela. It's a very, very scary option. It means that I'm not going to be able to survive another turn if it targets into that slot. Foul Play comes out. That's doing absolutely nothing to my Comfey, which is very nice. And I can get some Lefties and Leech Seed recovery. Getting some chip on the Dragapult's nice, and confirming its item as a Life Orb is also very nice, because I don't know if there's a Focus Sash on this team, but it's worrying me slightly, and I want to know where it is. So anyway, the Psychic Terrain wears off, and now I'm just going to focus down that Thievul, because it's actually probably the bigger threat to my team than the Dragapult. Now that I'm able to stall the Dragapult Dynamax turns, I want to make sure that Thievul can't snarl my special attackers in the back in Moltres and Regidrago. So I'm going to try to get as much damage on that as possible. And Celesteela unfortunately goes down now, but thanks to the Floral Healing last turn, it was able to stall an extra turn of that Dragapult's Dynamax, which is great. And now I'm going to seize the opportunity to go into my Moltres, because things are actually aligning pretty well for Moltres to be able to do some damage in this late game. What we've got is one last turn of Trick Room, which suits Moltres perfectly, because currently it's slower than both of the opponent's Pokemon, but I have access to max Airstream, which can boost my speed this turn, so next turn, once Trick Room has worn off, I outspeed them again, which is so useful. Not only that, but I can go for the Draining Kiss play with my Comfey and activate my own weakness policy, and because Comfey has got so many special attack drops, I'm doing like no damage at all to my Moltres, which is really nice. And activate that weakness policy at +2 special attack, I'll be doing a lot of damage to anything. I'll easily be able to take out the Thievul with a max Airstream, and we just have to hope that I can tank some hits from the Dragapult. But we've already seen that it's carrying special moves, which definitely works out for Moltres because of Moltres' huge special defense. So that's actually definitely preferable. If it had maybe Max Phantasm, that could have been a bit scarier if it started dropping my defense. But because it's got special attacks, yeah, I can take those hits fine, even though they're Life Orb hits. Moltres can tank that fine, and we're looking pretty good now because we should outspeed Dragapult this turn. This is after I changed the nature. I have given it the Timid Mint now, so I should be able to outspeed Dragapult. Get a little bit of Leech Seed recovery. That's a little nice added bonus. Don't know if it's going to help too much. And their last Pokemon is going to be Landorus. Not too concerning, although Assault Vest Landorus has a knack of surviving ridiculous hits. So that's my only concern, is if it's Assault Vest. We don't already know. The Tapu Lele was Choice Scarf, I found out after the battle, so that was good knowledge. But now I'm just going to go for Floral Healing on the Moltres, making it as bulky as possible. We can go for the Max Darkness onto this Dragapult, take it out, and that's really nice because we can drop the Landorus' special defense, and that's a way of circumventing the Assault Vests, just going for the Darkness to drop the special defense, and then Regidrago or Moltres can beat it. Unfortunately, the opponent wasn't so happy with how that end game went, and they just disconnected. I don't know if that was an intentional disconnect or not, but we didn't see the outcome of that battle. I would imagine that Moltres would have just taken another KO, maybe got a Berserk boost even, which would have been nice to see. But that was showing you the Draining Kiss combo with Comfey and how that works really nicely. So I wanted to showcase that and also shout out Moxie Boosted. This next battle, I want to show you Moltres going up against what might seem like a really bad matchup, which is the electric types, which we're seeing a lot of. Regieleki has just been introduced and a lot of people like it. A lot of people pair it up with Tapu Koko to give it the electric terrain boost. But yeah, the electric types are very scary at the moment. If you are going to play any kind of doubles, definitely bring electric type counters, and that's what I do with this team. I have Raichu because I just love spoiling everyone's fun. Everyone's got a new toy in this cute little bouncing Regieleki, and I want to make it completely useless and awful. So I've got a Raichu on my team, and I wanted to show you how effective Raichu is next to the Moltres, and also how I built Raichu, because that's really important. In this team, we've got Moltres, we've got Celesteela. It's very weak to electric type, so you need to have a really solid electric type answer, and on this team it's going to be Raichu. So on the first turn, I fake out the Regieleki slot as I go for a Nasty Plot with my Moltres. The Tapu Koko reveals Nature's Madness there, which is pretty interesting. I was worried that Tapu Koko might just max and like max Starfall or something. Anyway, my Raichu here has a Protect, which I think is so important because you need to protect Raichu at all costs. Lightning Rod has to stay around as long as there are electric types on the opponent's team. So anyway, this turn I see that with Raichu on the field, I'm not actually too threatened by either of the opponent's Pokemon. So I'm just going to go for a Hurricane into Tapu Koko, which does a ton of damage. If they'd gone for Dazzling Gleam there, it would have activated Weakness Policy and Berserk, and I would have one-hit KO'd the Tapu Koko. So I was in pretty good position to be able to make that play. And it's, yeah, basically really good. This turn, I hard switch into my Cinderace, which obviously is never a good hard switch, but I don't really have great switches, and also I want to preserve my Raichu for the electric types in the back. Unfortunately, I missed the Hurricane on the Lucario switch-in, which does suck, but it means that I'm able to Dynamax Moltres next turn and hopefully deal with it with my Cinderace, which will outspeed. I can go for the fire type attack into Lucario. That definitely will one-shot, so it doesn't matter so much that I missed my Hurricane there. So I can go for like a powerful attack into the Incineroar instead. I missed my Pyro Ball though, which sucks because it means that Lucario should be dead twice over and it's still on the field, which is not cool. I take out the Incineroar, and that gives me a speed boost, so I should be able to outspeed the Tapu Koko next turn. I won't be able to outspeed Regieleki, it's just way too fast, the fastest Pokemon ever. Ugh! But yeah, Cinderace goes down, and Close Combat takes it out. That's actually not the worst thing in the world though. Looking back, this wasn't the worst turn because it allows me to bring in Raichu safely, and that really helps out because they're going to have an electric type on the field at the end of this turn. So yeah, that really helps me have Raichu on the field safely, and I can then just fake out into the Tapu Koko and attack into Lucario now that I'm faster after the max airstream last turn. Quick note that the Hurricane damage on the Tapu Koko is really great because it really dissuades the opponent from Dynamaxing it. It means that it wouldn't get much of an HP boost, and so they probably want to Dynamax their Regieleki in the back to make the most of it, but Regieleki just can't do anything to Raichu, so that's fantastic. And now with 2 speed boosts, I think we stand a chance at outspeeding Regieleki, so that's pretty nice. But they are going to Dynamax something, and it's an Ultra Ball. Both of these Pokemon were in Ultra Balls. It's going to be the Regieleki. That's really good for me because it basically can't do very much. I think its only coverage move is like Ancient Power or something like that, and then maybe Hyper Beam. But against a Raichu, unless you're carrying one of them, you can't do anything. And I've got the Protect as well, so I don't think they've been able to KO with either of those moves through Protect. I've got max HP on my Raichu, so that's pretty great. And I'm going to go for the Max Darkness into the Regieleki. I mean, I want to prioritize taking that out just in case Tapu Koko can take out my Raichu. If I can take out the Regieleki, my Moltres outspeeds the Tapu Koko and I can take it out the following turn. I run out of Dynamax here, but the opponent's just going for Max Guards with their Regieleki, so they obviously have nothing that isn't an electric type move. I'm going to go for a Fiery Wrath again, hitting both opponents. It actually takes out Tapu Koko despite being spread damage. Because I've got that nasty plot boost, I'm able to take that out. Going for Nuzzles as my only damaging move that isn't Volt Switch that would remove my Lightning Rod from the field. But yeah, that's basically showing that Moltres can beat electric type teams if you bring Raichu. Basically, anything can beat electric type teams if you bring Raichu. So Raichu I think is very valuable at the moment, or anything with Lightning Rod that you can protect on the field. So let's move on to the next battle, and my opponent has a really fair and balanced team with like one cover legendary from every generation since Gen 5 plus a Calyrex and then a Cinderace, because, you know, they have to handicap themselves somehow by one of the best non-legendary Pokemon out there. But I wanted to see how well a Moltres would fare against this kind of team, so I had to give it a go, and these are the results. My opponent decided to lead off with Kyurem and Calyrex, which seemed really, really scary. I mean, they are really, really scary. What do I mean, Steve? They are very, very scary Pokemon. But I'm hoping that if I play my cards right on this first turn, I can maybe set myself up in good stead to at least have a chance in this battle and see how much damage Moltres can do before it inevitably will succumb to the overwhelming power that they have on their team. So I'm going to Dynamax my Moltres turn 1, and that's because I'm expecting a certain play from the opponent, and we can see if that will materialize. And what I want to do with my Comfey is just go for a Draining Kiss into the Kyurem, just to get a tiny bit of chip damage. I know that Kyurem is a super bulky Pokemon, but I need any damage I can get on that. And actually I do a decent amount, so that is nice to see. The Calyrex is going to go for an Astral Barrage, a ridiculously strong attack that hits both of your Pokemon. But I can then retaliate with a Max Darkness, which is 4 times super effective against Calyrex, and I can take that out. And what's really good to note is that even if they were Focus Sash, I have the Draining Kiss on my Comfey, which would out-prioritize next turn and can take them out from there. The opposing Kyurem is going to go for an Ice Beam into my Moltres, which obviously plays right into my hands because I can activate my weakness policy. And also noting that Kyurem is slower than my Moltres, it has a -1 special defense from me going for the Max Darkness. It looks like I can take it out the next turn, so that would be really good. My opponent sends out Zacian next, which is, yeah, I mean, this is where things might go pear-shaped because they get an attack boost, they've got Play Rough, which is super effective, and they've got Behemoth Blade that does double damage to Dynamax Pokemon. So this is going to hurt. I'm just hoping that I can maybe survive a hit with Zacian. Then they Dynamax their Kyurem. That's also very, very scary because Kyurem has a ton of bulk even when it's not Dynamaxed. I've got +2 special attack, they've got -1 special defense, so maybe I can do some damage there. Gonna go for the Floral Healing to try to make my Moltres have as much chance as possible from surviving a hit from this Zacian. They go for Behemoth Blade, +1 attack, double damage on Dynamax Pokemon. Do I survive? Yes, I do, with 30 HP, that Floral Healing coming in clutch, giving me my Berserk boost, so now I am +3 special attack against a -1 special defense Kyurem. Can I take it out with a max Airstream? I can, giving me +1 speed. That's hopefully enough to outspeed Zacian. It depends on their set. If they are max speed Jolly, then I might not outspeed, but if they're max speed Adamant, or basically any set that isn't Jolly, I will outspeed. And if they have some weird EVs, then I hopefully will outspeed. So now they bring in their Solgaleo. I'm going to go for another Floral Healing on my Valkyrie, my Moltres. I'm not really sure if that's going to help too much because I'm going for a Max Darkness into the Solgaleo to try, into the Necrozma, sorry, to take that out. I'm able to take out the Necrozma despite the Prism Armor or whatever ability that it might have because I'm just very powerful at this stage with +3 special attack. We can get another special defense drop onto the Zacian, and it's going to go for a Behemoth Blade and obviously take me out from there. So that the second Floral Healing, I admit, maybe that was a bit of a waste. But unfortunately, Moltres goes down. It definitely did its job. It took down a Calyrex, a Kyurem, and a Necrozma. So that was pretty impressive. Now I bring in my Celesteela, which has a relatively good matchup against the Zacian. I'm just going to get a little bit of damage with Draining Kiss there. It doesn't do too much, and heal a bit of health, as the Zacian is going to go for a Behemoth Blade into my Comfey, even with the Berry. Obviously, I'm not going to take that, so Comfey is going to go down, and I have to hope that the Celesteela can start putting in some damage on this Zacian because it's still way too healthy. This Pokemon is one of the scariest Pokemon that exists, so I still need to close out this battle, and it might come very close. I'm going to go for the Flamethrower, and it doesn't quite look like a 2-hit KO, maybe it is, but I get the burn, which it seemed quite crucial. It just guarantees that my Flamethrower will be a 2-hit KO, and I have a Cinderace in the back, so with Cinderace I can go for like basically any move and be comfortable. The burn actually doesn't come into play because you can see that close combat wouldn't have taken out my Celesteela anyway, and my Cinderace is actually able to take this out with an Iron Head. So yeah, the burn doesn't actually come into play, but that was Moltres taking on Legendary. So I've shown you Galarian Moltres taking on electric types. I've shown you Galarian Moltres taking on Box Art Legendaries. Like, what more could you ask from Galarian Moltres? I think it's a fantastic Pokemon, super fun to build around. Just another couple of notes about the team. I've got Regidrago on there. I'm going to do a separate video about Regidrago because it's another Pokemon that I love. I think it's my second favorite new Pokemon. So if you want to see that, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. But I think it works really well on this team specifically because of Comfey's ability to heal Pokemon. Both Moltres and Regidrago appreciate that. Moltres likes it for getting multiple Berserk boosts as well as just being bulky and setting up nasty plots. Regidrago appreciates it because it has the Dragon Energy move, which does more damage the more HP you have. So obviously being able to heal Regidrago as it's going for Dragon Energies is very good. So I think they pair quite nicely together, not just because of their colouring, which looks awesome in the same team. But that's going to be all for today. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below and leave a like. All that's left to be said is I've been Foo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.